Hi there, welcome to video number 5, looking at what's happened after the sim update 10. And the main change for me was the change of the G1000 to the NXi version. So in a previous couple of videos, which I'll link to in the description, I showed you how I programmed some profiles on my Stream Deck so that I could emulate these buttons here, the soft keys that are underneath both the Pfd and the MFD. And I needed to use a number of profiles because as you click on some of these buttons, the layout of the buttons changes. So to have the text correct on the Stream Deck to match what's going on the screen, I had to interweave a couple of different profiles so that I can go down through a hierarchy and back up again. And I said I programmed it for the Cessna 172, and I said I'd hope that it would work happily without any extra work for any other aircraft that uses the NXi. So I'm trying it in the DA40 next generation, and the good news is it does actually work with no actual changes. So really that'll be it for the video. If that's all you need to know, what I'll do is I'll just bring up my Stream Deck. This is a software version of my Stream Deck just here, and over here I've got a camera on my X Touch Mini, so you can see what's going on. But essentially what I've done is I've just, to test the system, created 2 extra buttons on the Stream Deck. These are the old ones that took me to the old profiles, and all I've done is I've created a new one which says for the new Pfd, go to this profile that I created, the NXi Pfd main profile, and from there it kind of just works and takes it away. And the same for the MFD one, it just goes to the main profile for that. Let's have a quick look in the cockpit and show that in operation. So this is the actual Pfd layout here, and that's, if I press on this button here, this one here, you should see that the layout here on my Stream Deck matches what's going on here. For instance, the Pfd Options takes me to a sub menu, so if I press that on my Stream Deck, you'll notice that this layout here matches this layout here quite happily, so that works. And if I press on the back button here, they go back in sequence, so that all works. This one strange one that we encountered before was on the transponder. If I go to the transponder and go to put a code in, as soon as I put the 4th figure of a code in, the one on the simulator here goes back up a layer because it assumes, quite rightly, that you've finished putting in the code, and this won't go back. There's no way of this detecting it, so I created this button here which I have to press to go back up. That's the main kind of gotcha. Let's put a 4-figure code in. So I'm going to put 1 2 3 4 into the transponder here. 1 2 3. When I press 4, you'll see that this jumps back, and now to make that jump back, I press on that, which takes me back up to the previous profile. But that was all detailed in a previous video. So we can now see that we've got the option to turn standby on, alt on and off, and that works quite happily. I'm going to leave it in standby for the moment because that's not a code that's been put in that we were issued to us. That's me just trying it out. Okay, so let's have a look at what's going on. If you want to stick with it, I was going to try doing a test flight, which I haven't yet tried, from Biggin Hill down to Seaford. Normally my test flights are from Shoreham to Seaford VOR, and then up to Biggin Hill, because I want to test it picking up ILS approaches and an ILS landing. But I'm going to try doing it in reverse. Shoreham doesn't have ILS facilities, so I'm going to be using the GPS to fly in, but I want to see what happens when I have to then go to a visual approach and see how that works. I'm interested to see what happens, because when I looked at the Shoreham airport information, it lists the local VORs, and it lists one for Shoreham, and there's a frequency there. but there's nothing on the map to show that there's a VOR. And reading the actual data for the real world Shoreham Airport, it says that there is a transmitter here, but it's really to be used only for DME. It says to ignore any locator information. So you can't do a localizer information. You can't do a localizer approach. It said it may appear on your equipment, but ignore it. It's false. So interesting to see what happens there. What I will do is I will tune into Midhurst VOR, have that available to me just in case something weird happens on the GPS approach and I need to find Shoreham Airport, because it says on here that if I tune into Midhurst, pick up the 136 radial 18 miles away from it, I'll be just about over Shoreham. So it's a good backup to have, a plan to have, so I can actually find my way there. So we'll put that in later. Okay, let's have a look at what's going on here. I'm going to put in my flight plan here, but I need to get my ATIS information first of all, so I know which runway we'll be using. So let's turn on. I'm going to record the cockpit sounds as well, so you should be able to hear what's going on there. And let's have a look at the ATIS. So I'm going to tune in here. One 135.680. 135.680. Well, it says runway 21 in use, but then ILS 03 is in use as well. Winds are calm. I presume we can take off in pretty much any direction you want. Let's put the pressure in. So using the Barrow 1, that will change what's going on here, and that was 3030. And we'll put that into here as well. So using Barrow 2 this time. And yep, the altitude is just about match 560 on both of them, so that's okay. And I'm going to assume runway 30, so if I change the heading, because we're going to go on an ILS approach, flight, so we'll have that programmed in. Right, let's go and put the flight plan in. So on bank B, flight plan, bring up the cursor, and we are going from Echo Golf Kilo Bravo, and we'll press enter for Biggin Hill, and I think we're going to go runway 03, so we'll put that in. And we just need to go down to destination now. We're not going anywhere else. So my destination will be Echo Golf Kilo Alpha. Enter, and I'm going to guess we're going to go to runway 02. Okay, so that's it. That's all the information I know at the moment. So we'll leave that as that is. Let's turn that off. I said I want to program in the Midhurst VOR. So MID, Midhurst VOR. So I can get that from waypoint information and VOR. By pressing enter on that has made it into the standby here, so we can make that active now. And that's in VOR1, and again looking back at my showroom information, I needed to have on the 136 radial, so we'll put that in as well. So I need to go into my CDI, press that once to make that VOR, and we'll change the course on that. Just need to double check. 136. Okay, so that's ready to go if we need it. Okay, let's tune to big and ground now, which is 134.805. And we're going to file our flight plan.
Biggin Tower Diamond Golf Bravo, Mike ready to copy IFR clearance to Shoreham.
Diamond Golf Bravo, Mike is cleared to Shoreham Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 0 tree climb and maintain 6,000 feet. Departure frequency is 118.475, squawk 2721.
Diamond Golf Bravo, Mike cleared to Shoreham Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 0 tree climb and maintain 6,000 feet. Departure on 118.475, squawk 2721.
Diamond Mike readback is correct. Contact ground on 1 tree for decimal 805 when ready to taxi. Good day.
Okay, one of the things is that because I read that back, it's automatically put it in my transponder, but let's assume that hasn't happened. So I'm going to press transponder code, and I'll put in the code they gave me, 2721 transponder and out on. So that's what I would do manually on my Stream Deck. They gave me an altitude of 6,000 feet, so we will put that in here to 6,000 feet. So that's prepared for us, that's ready to go. And they gave us the departure frequency of 118.475, so we'll put that into the standby on the comms. 118.475. So that's ready for us. And let's just get rid of this page here. So we'll turn the cursor off and take ourselves back to the map. Okay, so I think we're just about ready to go now. What I'll do is I'll get taxi clearance, and let's turn my head tracker back on and center that up. There we go. And I'll taxi out to the runway.
Big and ground, Diamond Golf, Bravo, Mike with Echo ready to taxi IFR.
Diamond Golf Bravo, Mike, taxi to and hold short of runway 03 via taxiway Hotel Delta 1 cross runway 21 Alpha 1 Alpha Charlie Foxtrot. Contact tower on 1 tree for decimal 805 when ready.
Taxi to and hold short runway 03 via taxiway Hotel Delta 1 cross runway 21 Alpha 1 Alpha Charlie Foxtrot Diamond, Mike.
I'm not sure if you heard all that on the recording, but it gave me taxiing via Hotel Delta 1, cross runway 21, Alpha 1, Alpha Charlie Foxtrot. So quite a complicated taxi route. I haven't got a map actually, the chart for Biggin Hill at the moment. So I've switched on the blue arrows to follow. I'll probably pause this recording, you don't have to see me taxiing. But one of the things I would say about the Diamond is that it doesn't have active nose wheel steering, that when you use the rudder pedals, it's got what's called a caster front nose wheel. So when you're moving through the air, the rudder will work and will steer you, not particularly accurately, but it will steer. But to start with, there's not enough airflow over the rudder, so you do need to use differential braking to get around the corners. So it's a bit different from the Cessna. It takes a bit of getting used to, but let's get going. Let's turn the parking brake off, and I'll get going using differential braking as well as the rudder. And then I will pause the recording and pick you up when I get to the threshold of the runway. Okay, so I'm on the edge of the runway here, just going to ask permission to take off from there. I'm going to use one notch of flaps for takeoff, which is standard. Just checking that the trim's in the takeoff position, which it is. Okay, I'm going to arm on here the heading hold, so that's ready for the autopilot. What I'm going to do is I will be using the flight level change to go up. What I'm interested to find out is one of the bugs on the original version of the G1000 was that if you enable flight level change when you're actually in the air, it will capture your current airspeed. It should do, but it didn't, and it always put it to 0 on the old version. So I'm going to see if it captures this. I haven't actually tested that yet, because I have got programmed here an airspeed. If I press best FLC, it would pick the best rate of climb, but it was programmed for the Cessna 172. And if you look here, my best rate of climb here is actually 80 knots rather than 73 I think I had programmed in before. So I'm going to see if it captures the airspeed, and if not, I can always adjust it with my flight level change up and down here. Okay, so let's get permission and get going.
Tower Diamond Golf Bravo Mike at runway 0 tree ready for departure IFR to Shoreham.
Diamond Golf Bravo Mike altimeter, tree 0 decimal tree 0 wind calm. Cleared for takeoff runway 0 tree.
Cleared for takeoff runway 0 tree Diamond Golf Bravo Mike.
Okay, so landing lights on to give me some more visibility. I've got my strobe and position lights on. I'm going to put the pitot heat on just in case, and parking brake off, and we should be able to get going. Oh, we're going to meet some traffic coming in our direction. That's interesting. Well done, air traffic control. Okay, so I'm going to take the autopilot on so it picks up the heading mode. Try and get to 80 knots and put in flight level change mode. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it picked up 86 knots. And we'll take that down to 80 knots.
Diamond Mike, contact London Center on 118.475. Good day.
.475 Diamond Mike.
And that's pre-programmed in as the standby, so we can make that active and contact them.
London Center Diamond Golf Bravo Mike is passing 1,600 feet, climbing 6,000 feet.
And put the flaps up.
Diamond Golf Bravo Mike, London Center altimeter, tree 0 decimal tree 0, continue as planned. Diamond Mike, your tree 4 miles northeast. Maintain present heading and altitude, expect vectors, visual runway 20 approach.
Oh, to give me a 20 approach. Okay.
Maintain present heading and altitude, expect vectors, visual runway 20 approach Diamond Mike.
So I'm going to go back to my PFD and use the CDI button to bring around to GPS. And engage the GPS now. And you'll see that it's armed, but it's still in heading mode because I have to manually take it round to an intercept course. So I'm going to use the heading bug, and it will follow the heading. Until it intercepts that GPS course. And I've turned traffic on for the first time here, and you can see it's actually picked up the traffic that it knows about. That's interesting. Okay, so that'll pick up the GPS radar now, and let's have a look. We should be climbing at 90 on the load until we reach the cruise altitude, and then we'll take it down to 70%. So we should be at 90% here. And it gave us a procedure, so let's go and have a look at putting a procedure in.
Swiss 464, you are 5 miles northeast of London City. Contact City Tower on 129.455 when inbound on the approach.
A visual too.
Tower on 129.455 Swiss 464. Speedbird 2609er, you are 44 miles southeast. Descend and maintain 4,300 feet. Keep speed not above 220 knots. Expect ILS runway 09er right approach via Bravo India Golf transition. Clear to Bravo India Golf.
Right, so it said a visual 20. We'll take that in. and it said vectors. We'll put that in, and
Maintain 4,300 feet. Keep speed none above 220 knots. Expect ILS runway 09er right approach via Bravo India Golf transition cleared to Bravo India Golf speed per 2609er.
and I'm going to load that rather than activate it. And we'll see what happens there with that. Okay, we're now on the GPS and we're approaching our altitude of 6,000, so we've got to watch out for that throttle. And we've got about 32 miles to run. Somewhere over in that direction is Gatwick Airport, so we probably see a fair bit of traffic coming into that. I can see a bit of traffic there on the horizon, and they're all queuing up nicely to come into Gatwick.
Diamond Mike climb and maintain 8,000 feet.
So it wants me above all that.
Climb and maintain 8,000 feet, Diamond. Mike.
So I need to re-engage my flight level change and
3,600 feet, climbing 7,000 feet.
again adjust the speed back to 80 knots.
Altimeter 30.30. Continue as planned. Diamond Mike descend and maintain 2,000 feet.
Descend and maintain 2,000 feet, Diamond. Mike.
Now I like to descend using vertical speed, so I'm going to change that to vertical speed mode and about 1,000 feet per minute, and we'll take that throttle back to about 40% when we're making a descent.
Speedbird 2609er contact approach on 120.4. Good day. 120.4 for Speedbird 2609er. London Center Swiss 464 is missed approach at London City. Swiss 464, you are 3 miles west. Descend and maintain 2,000 feet. Expect ILS runway 27 approach via Lima Charlie Yankee transition. Clear to Lima Charlie Yankee. Descend and maintain 2,000 feet. Expect ILS runway 27 approach via Lima Charlie Yankee transition. Clear to Lima Charlie Yankee Swiss 464.
What I'll do probably is to edit out the middle section of this as we're just cruising along, and I'll pick you up next time there's a frequency change.
Flyer 4467, you are 21 miles east. Descend and maintain 5,100 feet. Expect ILS runway 27 approach via Alcan transition. Clear to Alcan. Climb and maintain 5,100 feet. Expect ILS runway 27 approach via Alcan transition. Clear to Alcan Flyer 4467.
I'll just put you back into the recording because I can actually see some traffic underneath me here. Nice to see it's actually working properly. So there's some traffic. I haven't got any traffic add-ons. I'm just using the standard Microsoft live players and AI. I still haven't quite got my head around exactly how all that works and what the best setting for it is, and which ones are actual other players and which ones are AI. But there we are. There's Gatwick Airport down there. I can see there's traffic on the ground. And there's the frequency change anyway.
For Diamond Mike. 2,000 feet.
Diamond Golf Bravo Mike, Shoreham approach altimeter 30.27, continue as planned.
So changing the barometer 3027, and also need to adjust my throttle now to about 70% as we're going to be cruising. And change the second barometer. Three 3027. It's interesting, the two are now linked. They weren't before, they were totally separate, so we've got to keep an eye on that. Okay. So 17 miles to run. I'm just going to go into the PFD and look at the Pfd options for bearing 1, and that's tuned into Midhurst, and that's where I can see here the radial it's picking up at the moment. Well, that's the bearing to it, so I'd need to work out what the opposite is, but I can just follow the tail of that, and it's when that's at 136. That means I'll be over the airport, just about. So that's useful. And that's 18.4, but 18.1 is what it actually said for Shoreham when we get there. So at the moment, there's the procedure. The approach procedure. I haven't activated yet. I don't know if it's going to activate itself, which it would normally do on an ILS approach, or am I going to have to manually activate it? Let's have a look at the range here. Well, it's got the procedure there, bring me over Shoreham, around and back in again. So there'll be a GPS route to follow. Okay, once again, I'm going to pause this recording, so bring you in when we get a little bit closer, about 8 miles or so to go.
Maintain present heading and altitude Diamond, Mike.
Well, that's where the runway actually is, just about here. So I'm going to report the runway in sight.
Diamond Mike, I have the runway in sight.
Diamond Mike, you are 9 miles northeast of Shoreham. Maintain present heading and altitude. Contact Shoreham Tower on 123.155.
Maintain present heading and altitude. Tower on 123.155 Diamond Mike. Shoreham Tower Diamond Golf Bravo Mike 9 miles northeast inbound visual runway 20 approach.
Diamond Golf Bravo Mike Shoreham Tower. Altimeter tree 0.27 wind 180 at 4. Cleared visual runway 20 approach.
Cleared visual runway 20 approach Diamond Mike.
So I'm not quite sure here what procedure that is, because that takes me out over the sea and brings me in on runway 02, not 20. 20 is this one here, but it has got straight and final.
Diamond Mike, wind 180 at 4. Cleared to land runway 20.
Cleared to land runway 20 Diamond Mike.
And here's the runway here, so we're coming pretty well straight into it, which is more luck than judgment, I think. But I'm going to take it out of autopilot now, and we'll manually land this. There's no glide slopes, it's going to have to be completely visual. So my throttle is completely idle at the moment. I just need to get a bit lower so I can bring the nose up. I'm going to declare missed, I think, on this one.
Shoreham Tower Diamond Golf Bravo Mike is going missed.
Diamond Mike, contact Shoreham approach on 123.155. Good day.
Going to 123.155 Diamond Mike. Shoreham approach Diamond Golf Bravo Mike is missed approach at Shoreham.
Mike, you are 1 mile southwest. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors. Visual runway 20 approach.
Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors. Visual runway 20 approach Diamond. Mike. Shoreham approach Diamond. Mike. Requests runway 20 left.
Diamond Mike, you are 5 miles southwest. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors. Visual runway 20 approach. Sidestep runway 20 left.
Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors. Visual runway 20 approach. Sidestep runway 20 left. Diamond. Mike. Shoreham approach. Can Diamond Mike get runway 20?
Diamond Mike, you are 5 miles southwest. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors. Visual runway 20 approach.
Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors. Visual runway 20 approach Diamond. Mike.
Well, I've waited before for vectors to be given to me. I've never had a vector yet. So I'm going to just fly it in to runway 20 and see what happens. Right, let's get down to a more respectable height. And I'm just going to fly a circuit and bring it in, I think.
Diamond Mike, you are 300 feet below your assigned altitude. Climb and maintain 2,000 feet altimeter, 30.27.
She doesn't like that.
Climb and maintain 2,000 feet Diamond. Mike.
I'm going to cancel my IFR.
Shoreham approach Diamond. Mike. Would like to cancel IFR.
Okay, so I'm going to pick up VFR here, squawking VFR, and I'm going to talk direct to tower and get permission to land.
Shoreham Tower, Diamond Golf, Bravo, Mike, is 1 mile southeast, 1,300 feet with Sierra to land.
Diamond Golf Bravo, Mike, Shoreham Tower. Altimeter tree 0.27 wind 170 at tree. Make left traffic runway 20.
Fly left traffic runway 20 Diamond, Mike.
Diamond Mike, wind 170 at tree. Cleared to land runway 20.
Cleared to land runway 20 Diamond, Mike.
Just going to turn slightly short of these hills here, though they're quite high actually in real life. Sure, this is where we did some hang gliding around this area, some paragliding. So I've got the first layer of flaps in. Let's have full flaps. Speed's a bit more under control this time. A bit high, but got control over this now. Flaps are up so we can't inadvertently take off again. And I've taken this taxiway here. There we go.
Diamond Mike, contact ground on 123.155.
123.155 Diamond Mike. Shoreham ground, Diamond Golf, Bravo, Mike, request taxi to parking.
Diamond Golf Bravo, Mike, taxi to general aviation parking using taxiway Foxtrot cross runway 06 Mike Alpha.
Taxiing to general aviation parking via taxiway Foxtrot cross runway 06 Mike Alpha, Diamond Mike.
have to say the grass taxiways are a little hard to see which are taxiways and which are not on this one. Okay, I won't bother taking you all the way to parking. You know what taxiing and parking look like. So I'm not as you can tell, not a great pilot. I'm more interested in how you set the Stream Deck and the X-Touch Mini up. So I hope you saw that it basically worked. Still not sure what the GPS was supposed to do when you got into the visual approach. It didn't kick in like the ILS would do. It's still just there for reference. And it's strange that it gave me a trace on the map here to take me in for runway 02 rather than 20 this way. I'm not quite sure how that's working, but had I picked that up earlier I would have reduced my height, but again ATC not too helpful as ever, leaving me up at 2,000 feet. Far too late before it gave me anything to any descents. And when I declared the missed approach, again not very helpful. I've declared missed there before and flew out for about 20 minutes over the sea waiting for some vectors and nothing ever happened. So I guess that squares with most people's experience with Microsoft's ATC. Not too clever. Okay, anyway, next video will be a few days away, I imagine, maybe a week. I'm going to look at programming one of the Robins up, and I'll explain the reasons why in the next video.